everyone, my name is Abigail Marler, a senior here at Austin High School. Did you know that taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health? In fact, as the pandemic continues, caring for your mental health and supporting a friend who may be struggling with increased stress, anxiety, or loneliness is more important than ever. Today we'll learn more from a mental health expert. Let's welcome Susan Wondra, a clinical therapist with the Vida Clinic, an organization that works with Austin High School and other AISD schools to support students' mental health. I'll be asking her questions about common mental health concerns and topics submitted by Austin High School students.
Hi guys, I'm Susan Wondra and I'm a mental health clinician at the Vida Clinic. I largely work with individuals who are learning to cope with anxiety and depression and all the life transitions in between.
Before we get started, I want to thank a partner of today's program, OK to Say. OK to Say is a Texas mental health awareness campaign with a simple message. It's okay to talk openly about mental health. You can find more mental health resources and tips for starting conversations about mental health by following OK to Say. Now let's get the conversation going. So everybody gets stressed from time to time. I know I personally do, and all of my friends do, and I've seen my peers becoming stressed. But what is the difference between a healthy and an unhealthy amount of stress?
That's a really good question. So stress isn't always a bad thing. Short-term stress is what I think of as more healthy stress. Short-term stress actually helps to keep our brains active and alert and helps to ultimately prevent boredom. So example, if we have an upcoming test and our response to that test may encourage us to study more, I would consider that to be more of a healthy stress. Now, unhealthy stress, I think of to be as more of a long-term stress that causes us to feel drained or to isolate ourselves or losing interest in something that we once enjoyed. And so I would consider that to be a little bit more unhealthy.
You said that stress can sometimes be motivating and it can help you. So what is the difference between stress and anxiety?
So stress is typically in response to a specific situation, and usually it subsides once that situation is resolved. So if we are in an argument with a friend or a family member, once the argument has now been resolved, usually the stress would go away. Now, anxiety is going to be more of the lingering, ongoing feelings of dread or apprehension, usually in a situation that is not actually threatening, and it doesn't turn off after the concern has passed.
I know sometimes when I'm feeling stressed, I can kind of shut down. I don't want to do my work. I don't want to continue working on school or staying motivated. What are things that I can do when I feel stressed and kind of start to shut down?
There's a lot of things that we can do when we're starting to feel stressed. As easy as just taking a break. If we need to go get some fresh air or go on a walk outside. I'm a big fan of music, so I love to listen to music. It helps to kind of escape some of our thoughts, not necessarily keep focusing on some of the stressful things that may be going on. Exercise is a really great way to kind of work out some of the stress or prevent some of the stress. We can also do breathing exercises. If you're really feeling overwhelmed in the moment, just taking some slow, deep breaths can be really helpful. And I think the most important way to relieve some of that stress is usually connecting with others. That could just mean, venting to family or friends, just having someone to talk to when we have something going on to work it out.
I know that a lot of us are really involved in school, different extracurriculars and work, sports, and friends. And sometimes it gets really hard to balance these things. How do you recommend we balance them?
Procrastination is so real. And, balancing these different areas with school and work and friends is a skill that you also have to have as an adult. I think that being able to stay on top of some of the main priorities could be school. It's going to ultimately decrease that stress, and it allows us to have more time to enjoy with our friends or with family, or even pick up another shift at work.
I know a lot of my friends use planners to help organize them, but I found it doesn't work for me. It doesn't keep me organized. And I know some other people that it doesn't work for them either. What are alternatives to physical planners?
Planners can feel really overwhelming, and they're also another task to add to the other things to do that you need to complete in a week. I'm a big fan of to-do lists. I have to-do lists on my phone. I have one in my kitchen, and it's just something that I know I can add something to that I know needs to be done that week. And it's somewhere I know where it's really easily accessible. So being able to jot down things that you do know you need to complete can feel a little less burdensome. And again, it helps us just to keep that reminder of things that need to be done. You don't necessarily have to use a planner, but even just a Post-it, or again, a note in your phone, but something to be able to go back to remind yourself of things that need to be done.
I know that sometimes students struggle to get the recommended 8 hours of sleep or a good night's of sleep. What do you recommend for getting that better sleep if it is beneficial?
The habits that help us to have better sleep is also known as sleep hygiene. It's kind of a new term right now that everyone's talking about. First and foremost, of chemicals that might disrupt sleep, like caffeine. I think being active in the daytime allows us to also be able to unwind at the end of the day because we're just more tired. Our bodies are more exhausted. Being able to have a hot shower at the end of the day also allows us to start unwinding and our brains start slowing down. They say avoiding screens 1 to 2 hours before bed is always helpful. I know not always easy to do because it's so easy to look at our phones. But my favorite thing to do to help put me to sleep is reading. Reading will help put me out really quickly.
I know as a upperclassman and a senior and filling out college applications, a lot of us, the stress of the future is kind of helping or affecting our current motivation and stress levels. Senioritis is real. So what do you recommend we do to not let this affect our motivation?
Unfortunately, the future is full of uncertainties. But I think, focusing on the changes that we can make here and now help us to embrace the future as well as maybe motivate us and look forward to what's to come. If you are struggling or you think a friend is struggling with their mental health, it's okay to ask for help. There are many resources, just like the Austin High School Student Wellness page, that help to connect students with mental health support. As we've also mentioned too, connecting with others is really helpful. So talking with a friend or with a family member or someone who you can trust can also be really helpful in trying to work through some mental health concerns.